Hi, everyone. I'm happy you're back to Growth Factor. Today we have Marie, and she has an incredible story because she comes from such a hardship that I think she's going to inspire you to see how beautiful she is, how strong she is. If she can make it through, you can too. She was raised by a drug addicted whore mother with abuse from all different directions. So I'm so happy that Marie is here and she's going to teach us how you also can be strong. And this is part one. We're going to talk about her near-death experience. In part two, we're going to talk about her other near-death experience and a lot more. Thanks for being here, Marie. Do you mind starting right with your near-death experience? What happened to you?
Okay, so I feel like we should go a little bit into my past, but I don't want to get too much into that. So I was raised with drug addicted drug whore, and she put us through a lot. Myself, I have 3 siblings, but she drugged me through just house after house. We house hopped. She just didn't ever live in one place for very long. And so when she did kind of land in one spot, it was really awful. It was filled with all the kinds of abuse that you can imagine. And it almost feels like a second life to me because it was such a horrible place. It just almost felt like the whole thing was an out-of-body experience. So most of the time I slept in closets because she would like drag me to drug parties, and I would sleep in closets or get shoved in closets. And those were my safe place, actually, as horrible as that sounds, just like a coat closet in the back room somewhere so that I would be away from everybody and not be getting into stuff. And so she finally came to a place where we stayed for maybe a year and a half. I was real young, so time is not really relevant to me at that point. I'm just remembering things as a 3-year-old. So I lived with my mom until I was 5, and then I was adopted. And when I was about 3, like I said, we lived with this woman, and her name was Sandy Mead, and she was very abusive, and it was known that she was very abusive. My mother knew this, but my mom was very unpresent. She was very not there, like not mentally, but she was not, like, she was disconnected. That was the word. She was just so disconnected from everything, going through whatever she was going through personally. But I don't really understand that. I'm just relying on my 3-year-old experience, my 3-year-old memory. So everything was very different as a 3-year-old remembering this. So I didn't get food. If I asked for food, I would be beaten. If I asked for water, I would get beaten. If I was seen, I would get beaten. Sandy Mead was known to be very abusive. My mother knew this, and she just ignored it. She was very disconnected from everything. Just can't understand it. I don't know. And so she would leave me for weeks, and my mom would just be gone, and I'd be stuck at Sandy Mead's house. So horrible. I learned that I was just like always hungry for attention, always hungry for touch, for a hug, for just anyone to just be near me, even for 2 minutes. It was very hard to be so isolated. The 3 things that a child needs is food, water, and like human touch. It's just known. Even just to be near a human, we're social creatures. We need that. There was a study showing that a child can die just from lack of presence of another person. So that was what I was going through. I learned that if I ate toilet paper out of the bathroom, because there was a hallway off of my bedroom, I could sneak down that hallway and eat water out of the bathroom, drink water out of the bathroom, and eat toilet paper, fresh toilet paper, if there was any off of the toilet paper roll. I was always finding fresh. It wasn't weird, any weirder than it sounds. But I got to experience that life. And so it was just something to keep my stomach from hurting, because I knew that I had a better chance of surviving not eating than eating and getting hit, or eating and just like being put in a 3-day haze. It was really bad, the abuse. So I got to a point where I was relying on toilet paper and water from the bathroom to keep me alive, or just to keep me from hurting. And there was nothing that could replace the need for human connection. Just to be near a human is something that I can't explain. Is something that I didn't even understand until this year, when I saw those reports that say that a child needs those 3 things. I didn't realize that the experience that I had was actually how serious it is. So I remember that there was a gap between the wall and the couch. And so I went behind that couch knowing that there was usually parties there, that I could get just close to anyone, someone, anyone, it didn't matter. My body was weak. I needed connection, closeness to another human. It was just like this understanding I had without having the understanding. It was just like something told me. So I just had this like spiritual understanding that I needed to be near somebody. I went behind that couch. I found that there was a hole in the actual fabric of the couch. So I climbed underneath the couch. I was laying face up, and there was somebody sitting underneath me. So I crawled all the way, or there was someone sitting above me. So I crawled all the way to where that person was, and I laid underneath them. And I just remember it being like really hard to breathe down there. And it was really dusty. So imagine like an old, very old couch. And it was a very low oxygen. So I don't know why I went, but I just remember being so tired and falling asleep, just kind of fighting it at first, but then kind of succumbing to this peace, to this quiet, the darkness that sent me into. But also there was like, don't go. It was almost a thought like, don't go. You shouldn't go to that. You shouldn't go to that peace. You shouldn't go there. Like, that's a dangerous place. Don't fall asleep right now, kind of thing. And I just was, the peace just overcome me so much, so intensely. And I fell asleep like the best sleep I'd ever had. And I woke up in what looked like a cave to me, my understanding that if you were looking at me, you wouldn't be able to see me. It was so dark there, but there was a light at the end of that cave. And I remember just being in so awe of the light, but not understanding where I was at all. I just remember falling asleep under the couch, and now I am in a cave. So I didn't understand that. That's just my understanding, my 3-year-old understanding of it was that it was a very dark, very black, pitch black cave, like the darkest of dark. And the light was so incredible. It was just so bright and so peaceful, like a warm embrace almost. And there was this angel or being that came to me. It was a light being, not as light as the end of the tunnel light, but just like this ambient light being that came to me, very soft light, very welcoming, like very, you can trust me kind of light. Coming from this being, I didn't understand any of this. I didn't understand what was going on. I was just in shock that I was awake in a cave, and there was a thing there that was presenting itself as a long humanoid kind of thing, a spirit, I guess. And just a very peaceful feeling there, just very, nothing matters. Everything is good. Everything is okay. You're safe here. And just kind of getting the experience to experience this, getting the moment to kind of experience this. And I remember just thinking like anything that you're thinking, I remember feeling like anything that I'm thinking, anything that I say in this place, or anything I'm thinking in this place, anything I communicate in this place is safe. I can communicate anything that I need to. And that took a while because I was a 3-year-old that was not allowed to communicate. So, wow, this is like kind of deep even. I'm realizing a lot about my life now, just talking about this. So this is a beautiful experience. So I just remember like, this was powerful for me to be told I can, or just to have this understanding of, there was no speaking there, but just to have this understanding that anything I said there was safe, or anything I thought there, or anything I communicated there was a safe space. I could communicate anything, that I was allowed to have those thoughts, or that I was allowed to communicate whatever I needed to, or whatever. And that was hard for me at first because I wasn't allowed to communicate. So it took me a while. I remember staying in silence for just a really long time, just kind of trying to understand everything that was going on right now. And this spirit just stood with me. And this thought started coming to me like, oh, I'm afraid that they'll leave. I'm afraid that they'll go away if I don't communicate somehow. And there was no speaking. It was all like mutual nonverbal communication. So I had a thought, and that person or that spirit understood. So they had a thought and I understood. The mouth didn't move. We didn't speak out of our mouths. We were just spiritually communicating. It was very beautiful. And I come now and wish that I had more of that we did that more. So I just think I was so in awe of everything that was going on, trying to make ends meet, trying to figure out why I was there, what was going on, what was happening. And I was like, oh, I'll just start asking questions. So I thought, why am I here? What are you? Talking to the spirit. You're in the in-between. You're in a safe space. You're not hurt. Nothing can hurt you. You're just in a safe place, and anything that you want to communicate, anything you want to ask, I'm here for you. So that was great too, because I wasn't ever allowed that either. In my 3 years of life, I wasn't allowed that. I wasn't allowed to communicate. I'm learning to talk at that age, but I'm not allowed to communicate. So it's like spiritual for me now too. So this is beautiful. I just started asking questions. I was like, okay, I guess I'm safe. I'll try this. So I'm still afraid that if I ask the wrong thing, that they'll go away or all this will end. And so just like really tiptoeing around this whole experience and so unsure of everything that was going on. And I was like, who am I? What am I here? And that's when they showed me my past, present, and future. So I'm trying to remember, it was a long time ago. I was asking just, why am I here? Well, you'll learn that, you know, why did I come here? Where am I going? Well, you'll learn that. It's like, that's my journey to learn. So I'm still trying to figure that out. So I was shown, I was like, why am I here? And it was like, I remember them telling me, I chose this. I want you to remember that I chose this. Like, my spirit chose this. I chose this life. And so that's where I was able to see my past. I got to see one of my past lives. I don't know how many I've had. I've heard on this life now that people can experience many, many, but I got to experience my like the life before this one. So I was a very wealthy man and like a Hugh Hefner vibes, very Hugh Hefner kind of person, like very rich, just got lonely. And so I started hiring women to come and visit me because I couldn't get friends to come and visit me. So, I mean, kind of makes sense. So then I was able to show my present, which was, or like this, I don't know how to explain it, like my spirit's choosing this life. I get to actually experience that. So I got to kind of see what that was like. Like we were all spirits in this beautiful place. We kind of had like all freedom, but there was this want, this pull to be back on earth, just to have even a butterfly effect of the people on earth. This was the spirit before this life, my spirit experiencing this before this life. So I just remember like knowing everybody up there. We were all friends. There was no strife. Everyone was very peaceful. There was no room for anything but peacefulness. And we were able to communicate with our spirits whenever, like our spirit guides, whenever we wanted to. And there was a main spirit protector guy that we got to go to, but everyone went to that person. Everyone went to that spirit. I have a hard time saying person or spirit, so forgive me. There's so there was like a main spirit that would go to like the God. I believe, I subscribe that there's a God. I subscribe in the belief that there is a God. And I really hope that this can help you get to there too. So you didn't go to God. You had to go through this major spirit first, but you only went to God for like the big stuff, like the biggest stuff. But there was like a guy before him, a spirit before him that you would go to for anything. It was almost like a message relayer, a relayer of messages. So I remember going to them when you really only go to that, or even to that spirit when you needed something big. Then you would just ask him to like intercede for you, ask that spirit to intercede to you, to God. So when you needed little stuff, like, I don't know, whatever you want, like, I want this experience, because you could just have experiences up there. Like, I want to go to this field of flowers. So you could just ask your spirit guides to go to that field of flowers, have whatever experience. I want to go and see, my past husband. I want to see how he's doing. I want to see how my past children are doing. Whatever experience you want to have up there, you just ask your spirit guides. But when it's the big stuff, you would go to I don't know how to explain it, like the head spirit, I guess. So I remember getting to choose this life. I was allowed to have that experience, that I got to be the spirit before this life and ask for what I have now. And I was like, the whole time, because you're given free will on this planet, on this earth. You're given free will. Your spirit is given free will your entire existence. So that's number one. First and foremost, everyone is given free will. So, at a certain point, I feel like everyone's draw is to go to Earth up there. Everyone's draw is to go to Earth. Either you really want to go to Earth, or your spirit's just done. Like, you have, I don't know, a million lives. You're just done. You're tired. You're done. You're ready to retire. You don't want to go to Earth anymore. So you go to your spirit. But there's like this understanding that is hard to go to Earth. It's really hard to incarnate a body. So this is an understanding that is a very big privilege. It's not something that you just get to do willy-nilly. You have to understand the impact, the heaviness of that. It's like, well, if you go to Earth, if we incarnate that body, maybe that hippopotamus won't get a body. Maybe that tree won't be born. there's just a lot of energy that goes into it, and that energy has to come from something. And so my understanding was that I got to choose, I got to ask. There was no push. It was just a mutual understanding that everyone wanted to go to Earth, just to even have a tiny bit of a impact for the good. So I got to that point, my spirit got to that point where I wanted to come back to Earth. And so I went to my spirit guides and I asked, I want to go to Earth. And so I went to the guide, the spirit before the God. And I said, I want to go to Earth. I'm ready. And it was like, are you sure? You know how hard this is. It's not something that's easily done. You have to know for sure. I'll give you some time. You've got to know 1,000,000% that you want to go to Earth, because it's a big thing to ask. So I think I've thought about it. I was really got a lot of information, gathered a lot of I gathered information from everyone around me, every spirit around me, and just observed, because you were able to also look down and observe what was going on. If you wanted to go down to Earth and observe quietly, you could observe. You couldn't really affect anything. You could just watch, observe from afar. But just like be there to watch and see. And so I got this understanding of where I was going. And I really took a lot of time to figure out if that's really what I wanted to do. And it was something that I realized it was really impactful. If I wanted to go to Earth, I needed to put some effort into it. So I finally, I had taken the time. I went back and I said, I'm ready. I want to go back to Earth. So then it was like, what do you want to go? What time frame do you want to go? What year do you want to go in? What body do you want to go in? What family do you want to incarnate with? What city do you want to incarnate with? Because everything is free will. You get to free will into this. Everything is free will. So I took the extra time that I needed to think of the kind of family. It wasn't like I got to choose the, I don't know, Excalibur family. You just chose the kind of family. Were they going to be nice people? Were they going to be mean people? What kind of personality are you going to have? So every little bit of what you're experiencing now, you got to choose that. So I got to choose all of that. Do I want to be a nice person? Do I want to be maybe a little harder on people to help them have whatever experience they've experienced? Do I want to help them grow? So do I want to be a harsher person or a kinder person? And then you get through the big stuff. I got through that spirit that I'm talking about, that I was before I am now. I got to experience that, because when you're in between, you are still the person you were. You still like show up. You still imagine yourself as that person before. So I still imagine myself as a rich man in the in between up there. So I still was like, I had that personality. I still have that, like, kind of that mindset, although there was peace. There was no strife, no heartache. There was just peacefulness up there. I got to experience all of that as that man. So I got to choose the big stuff. So like, what area am I going to live in? What kind of person do I want to be? Like, what is my personality going to be? What is my family going to be like? What is the like, am I going to be in a warm climate or a cold climate? That kind of thing. So like, what are the circumstances around me? Where am I going to go? then you finally get to, and it's a big deal the whole time. It's like everything that you have charted that you say you want to experience is like, are you sure? Is this what you want? Are you sure? Is that exactly how you want it to be? You get to choose all of that. And so I think that even when you come back, you get to kind of choose as you go, like, is that still what you want to be? So I got to that point where I was incarnating. I remember the womb. That's so crazy. I remember the womb, and I still was being asked, are you sure? Are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure you want to go to Earth right now? Like, being shown the current events, what's going on. There's bombing here, there's violence there, like this kind of stuff. Are you sure this is what you want? And I kept saying, yes, I'm sure. This is what I want. I'm positive. And then you're in the womb and you start asking, you get asked the nitty gritty stuff, more like, what gender do you want to be? And you can continue to choose up until the minute you're born. So in the birth canal, you're being pushed out one last time. Are you sure? Is this what you want to be? No, I decided I want to be a boy instead. You can have that thought. You can have that choice. So everything is free will. You're given free will every step of the way. So it's so crazy. This is awesome. I love talking about this. So I was given that experience to see that, to experience me becoming me now. And then I got to see my future, as in, like, I'm gonna write a book. This is my future. I get to write a book. I'm gonna become an impactful human and impact Earth, the human race, for good, because it's a big deal to get to come to Earth. It's a big deal to get to incarnate as a human. It is a big deal, and it's not something to be taken lightly, because it took a lot for me to get to be me. So then I remember coming back, like, I got to see all that stuff, almost like I was experiencing it a second time. So I remind you, I'm still just this little girl in a cave. I don't know what's going on. I just know what the spirit is telling me. I know everything is safe. I know that everything that is in that place is true, and there is no space for untruth there. Absolutely zero space for untruth there. So I know that everything that I have just experienced was absolute truth. There was no doubt there at all, period. There was no anything but peace there. And then I'm back to being just a little girl in a cave and scared. And I remember, why am I here? My mom is so bad. And this woman I live with is so mean. Why am I here? And just continue to be told that you chose this. You're gonna have an impact someday, but you chose this. So you have the choice to stay here in the peaceful place, or you can go back. But I think you need to go back, because your mom needs you. And I remember waking up behind that couch, scared, hungry, not sure if I was gonna die again. I'm not sure if I was gonna make it past 4, because it really was a thought. It really was a reality that I might not make it past 4. And all my spirit team knew that. And I just remember being so at peace still, just so at peace and so understanding of everything. I understood to look forward into my life. I understood to always look at the bigger picture, not just where am I at as a 3-year-old, but how am I gonna impact as a 5-year-old, as a 7-year-old, as a 10-year-old, as a 30-year-old? How am I gonna impact this life? How can I impact, for me at least, right now, and make what I have experienced worth it? Because I still have the question of why am I here? Why was I allowed to die and come back? Because that's heavy. I died and I'm still here. But I didn't just die once. I did many times, but I was allowed to come back. And there was always a choice. Do you want to stay or do you want to go? And even every day from that time that I woke up, I praised God that I woke up that day. Thank you, God, so much for giving me a new day. Thank you, God, so much for allowing me to wake up today. I'm 5 and I'll wake up completely in awe that I'm awake that day. Completely in awe that I got to survive another day. Completely bewildered why I was chosen to wake up another day. I still don't understand it. I still don't know why I was given the privilege to wake up another day. But I always remember thinking, I am so lucky to get to wake up here today. And I still remember that. I remember I got to ask for a few things before I left. We're given a special experience. What do you want to take back to Earth with you? Because this is a hard journey. It's not easy. What do you want to experience and what do you want to take back with you? And I remember asking, I want to keep my innocence and I want to keep my memories. I want to be able to remember all of this and I want to be able to use it to impact more people. And I still do. My heart very much is to impact everyone for the better. I just want to share my story so that people have hope, that people know that you're not alone. You're given free will every step of the way. And I want so badly for people to know that there is hope every single day, that you're loved, and that there's ways to get through what you're going through or what you've been through. And it's way easier than you ever could have thought it was. So that's my story.
Thank you. We're going to go into part 2. Thank you so much. We have so many questions. Thank you for helping us, Marie. You're an inspiration. I feel like I'm going to try not to cry. Oh, this is very deep. So let's go into part 2. Please click below, click the subscribe and the bell so you can be part of our Growth Factor family and to see part 2 from Marie. And then at the top, like I said, click on videos. But thank you for being here, Marie. We're going to go right into part 2 and ask about your second near-death experience or out-of-body experience. And we appreciate you so much for sharing your story. Not everyone's comfortable to do it. And let's go into part 2. Thank you, Marie.